What's up, crayon eaters? Welcome back to another suspicious. Today I want to talk about not necessarily errors, but things that are holding back intermediate level Kimberly players that I see very often. So I do VOD reviews for free over in the Kimberly Discord often, and sometimes in my own Discord as well. So I go through a lot of intermediate level Kimberly play. And in my mass viewing of intermediate level Kimberly play, I see a lot of the same thing over and over, and I thought that I'd just compile it and put it all in one video to share. So if you're sort of like hard stuck, like low master or like diamond, even platinum level, then I think a lot of the things that I have on this list will resonate with you. So one of the biggest things I see with Kimberly players is that they'll stand at like this range where they can't really do anything, right? So other characters in footies, like DJ here, he can threaten at this sort of range. Like he can throw fireballs and he can like walk forward and press heavy kick at this range. But as the Kimberly player, at this range, you literally can't do anything. You can do random slide, which is unsafe. You can do overhead, which is minus on block. Or you could get like hit on the way in while you're doing the dash in if you do an overhead. Same thing with slide. You can jump, which is punishable. You know, you can elbow drop, which is punishable. You can EX teleport, which is punishable. But essentially what I'm getting at is that Kimberly players think that they're threatening at this range when really all they're threatening is that they're going to kill themselves. So any like decent player or anyone that just knows the matchup, honestly, they will see you at this level or at this range, and what they'll do is that they'll just walk all the way up on you. Like by standing like at this range, you're basically just saying, I'm giving you this space because I think you're afraid. But any decent player just won't be afraid because there's no good approach option for you. So instead of standing at like this further away range, I think the optimal range to stand at is like right outside stand medium kick range. So I'll have a more comprehensive video on neutral at some point, but essentially Kimberly's neutral, she has one poke, which is stand medium kick. And other than that, it's like extremely slow, terrible pokes. Like you can do this forward heavy kick, but it's like 27 frame startup. You can do like overhead, but like that's, I mean, you're just dashing at them at that point. So a lot of Kimberly's like neutral, just like in general, is very bad. So since you have like such limited tools, you pretty much just have the stand medium kick as a poking tool. You really have to play around that. So Kimberly has very good walk speed, and I'm sure that you hear this from like all sorts of Street Fighter players. Oh, Kami has very good walk speed, so you just use that in the neutral, and then you like look in the guide and you're like, okay, I guess my neutral's good then, but you don't actually understand how to play neutral. So what you need to do with the walk speed is you need to walk in and out of this stand medium kick range. Because what your opponent will be trying to do, if you just represent this one button, which is pretty much all you can represent, they'll just walk in and out of that range, wait for you to whiff it, and then whiff punish you for like 1,000,000 damage. So this move is 28 frames total. It's very easy to whiff punish this at like higher levels, or even just like by accident, by like this DJ player could just randomly be throwing out like stand heavy punch, and this would catch like one medium kick, and the risk reward is all of a sudden not worth it whatsoever that you pressed medium kick at all. So what you need to do is walk in and out around the range of either your stand medium kick or your opponent's buttons that they want to press, and just counter poke. So just do crouch medium punch and stand medium punch, buffer it into other moves. So by doing this, these moves are slightly disjointed. I'll put the hitboxes on screen. But essentially, you can use that disjoint to your advantage. So whenever you think your opponent's going to press a button, which would definitely be like as soon as they get into like the range of their own buttons, is that the disjoint can beat out the startup, active frames, or recovery of their button. So if you just time it and space it so that your active frames will happen between any time when their attack comes out, you'll get a hit. So Kimberly neutral really depends on this counter push. See, you see there, I caught the recovery of like a medium punch or something. So you just need to basically do that in neutral. Instead of like waiting back here and you're like, oh, I'm playing neutral, I'm playing neutral. Ugh, got him, whip punished. You really want to be like standing back here and using your mediums to catch the recovery of their buttons. You're not actually trying to hit them with your button. Like this will never reach, but I'm just hitting their button with my button. It's a very similar concept to whip punishing, except you're not doing it on reaction. A lot of whip punishes in Street Fighter aren't on reaction, and that's a misconception I hear a lot. You can also do this with like stand medium kick or a hard read with forward heavy kick, but generally the most consistent options are crouching and standing medium punch. You just walk back and forth around this range and try and catch them with the medium. So yeah, don't stand here, stand here. Another sort of error that I see is people like to end their combos in slide. So let's just look at the damage here. So that's 1584 damage from target combo. So that's pretty bad. You'd have to land this like 7 or 8 times just to win the round. It does have rather nice corner carry, but here's another option. So that did almost 300 damage more. So that chalks it down to 6 interactions, something like that. So already, just by doing this run kick, you got like a lot more damage out of it. Also, this setup, it has different low key from this. So you can get overhead, you can get low, you can get run overhead. But pretty much, you're just really mixing in your mid-screen mix-ups instead of just going for slide and then like going for strike throw. And I actually have like a lot of tech from like I have like all of the different meaties you can get from this run kick, but essentially just use that tech. I'll link the Among Us themed Kimberly tech video in the description, and in that video is all of the different meaties you can get off of this target combo and a run kick. Another route you can use here is just going into medium punch vagabond, so that does even more damage, and you still get corner carry, or you still get Oki here as well. Sometimes like basically if I don't get a can, I don't deem it worth it for me to do slide, and I would suggest the same thing for you as well, because this is just not very much value compared to getting a mix-up of some sort. Because generally when you do this and you start like representing overheads and you start representing lows and stuff, people tend to parry, and then the throw game becomes even stronger because you'll get a punish counter, of course. And speaking of can setups, one of the things I see is that people just don't really have a whole lot of sauce with can setups, or their sauce is very like streamlined. They'll have like one thing that they know how to do and they'll just keep doing that. So you need to stay very adaptive with your can setups. It doesn't matter how real it is. Like this can setup that I just did right there, it has like I don't even know how many frames that gap was, but it was like 10 frame gap in there. Like, it's fine to not do the realest things if you're mixing up your options, because your opponent's not going to be ready for it every time. So I see mostly people do this. They'll do strike, and they'll do throw, and they'll literally not have any other options in their arsenal. So just like a couple quick ones, just so you know them. Do like a medium kick and then an overhead. It'll go into the can. You could do 3 jabs and then run overhead. And you can confirm this on block so you don't go into the elbow. You can reset into overhead. You can see that they're holding parry as well. You can see that they're holding parry and then go for a run stop throw. So you can sort of like mix that between the the overhead and going for run stop throw. People are often very scared of the can exploding on them, so a lot of people will be too afraid to challenge. Obviously there's shimmying, so backdash into stand heavy punch or elbow drop. And there's just like a whole bunch of these different can setups all over YouTube. I implore you to even look at the weird ones because they will come into play and it is very much worth mixing up your options compared to just not doing like anything notable at all. Next thing I see a lot is that Kimberly players, I don't know how, but a lot of the time people aren't ready to anti-air. Kimberly's anti-air is literally one button. It's the only consistent anti-air she has other than extremely early tattoos or EX tattoo. So honestly, just practice the timing, set up a bot, something like this. Maybe not with Luke's jump heavy punch because that move needs to be nerfed immediately. That's why. But yeah, just like while you're like waiting for a ranked match, just set up like a bot to do something like this. Just get ready to hit that crouch heavy punch and know when you can hit it. Hit it every time. It's a pretty good anti-air. Unfortunately, it's the only anti-air she has. But yeah, get your anti-airs down. That's something you 100% need to improve in this game. Otherwise, people just get free plus frames from jump-ins. And I didn't mention this in the initial recording, but this is sort of just layer 1, doing the crouch heavy punch. And as soon as possible, you should learn to be more adaptive with your anti-airs by doing stuff like air-to-airs against cross-ups or spacing yourself with micro-walking to be able to hit angles that otherwise would have gone under you or over you or somehow beating you in some way. But yeah, that's a pretty funny thing about Kimberly. As you can see, yeah, you can straight up have your hand inside of Kimberly and she'll wake up level 1 and it doesn't work. So a huge part of getting your Kimberly to the next level, unfortunately, you're gonna hate to hear this, but you're gonna have to perfect parry and you're gonna have to learn when to backdash. So it really sucks that they took away our EX reversal, but essentially you just have to learn how to perfect parry. So the way you can practice this is just setting up the bot to endlessly loop some offensive sequence over and over again. Because you're inevitably going to reach a level where you're just going to get mauled in the corner by every random Ken you meet online. And you need a way to stop their offense and make it into your offense. Especially on a character that is as offense heavy as Kimberly. So yeah, just make sure you have this timing down at the very least on the wake up. And after that, you can start moving on to block strings, like parrying the second hit of a block string, like when Jury does stand medium punch and a crouching medium punch, something like that. But you absolutely need to know this and also start implementing backdashes into your defense. Even though it's risky and it's stupid that you have to take risks in this game constantly on defense, you need to learn how to backdash and then start getting something out of it. Like start punishing with your own throw or a jab or whatever it is. But yeah, you need to make risks, and one of the worst risks you can make in the entire game is Kimberly's level 1, unfortunately. Because it loses to jab, and it doesn't really do, or it's extremely punishable on block, so... yeah. Lab out your perfect parries, and lab out your backdashes. Just make sure you're aware that those options exist, and your Kimberly will probably be inconsistent, but your win rate will also probably go up. It's a lot less risky than throw teching, or it's a lot more reward than throw teching. So one thing I see a lot is that people don't know their Oki. So the way that you can improve at this is pretty much just do all the different knockdowns that you might get in a game. Like, here's Heavy Tattoo. I set the bot to do a 3 frame. Or a 4 frame, sorry. and just do stuff until you find something that works. You can optimize it later, but for now, just find something where you can meaty them, and if you can throw them. There's also all sorts of like counter hit setups like there. But essentially, just run through your offense on a bot and just see where you're being hit back. So a lot of the time I'll catch like intermediate level players. They'll do random combos that they're not sure works, and then they'll try and go for Oki that isn't real. They don't know what is real. Then they just end up being counter hit like over and over again because their Oki is not frame tight. But that's actually one of Kimberly's like biggest strengths. Her Oki is rather frame tight. It's just you have to know which routes to do and what meaty you can do. Like I wouldn't try and meaty stand heavy kick here. But I've definitely seen other people try. But essentially, you should know when you can go for like, for example, heavy tatsu, you can get a meaty overhead. But for this, meaty overhead. What can I get here? I can get like a can and a jump. There is a bunch of random like Oki bits that I have like scattered throughout like my tech videos as well, so those might be beneficial. Mostly I have like you know, you could get a meaty crouch medium kick from this medium vagabond. You can get a bunch of different meaty run overheads, stuff like that. You really need to get your Oki airtight, otherwise people are going to seep through the gaps and it's going to add a lot of inconsistency to your gameplay. So just set the bot to jab and just run through all your different knockdowns and try and get overheads, try and get lows, try and get whatever you can get. And make sure that every time you do, it's completely consistent and airtight. So this is the last thing I see, and it's not really that serious, but I'm just going to set the bot to block here, and I'm going to do stand medium kick, run. And honestly, that was a great demonstration. So, yeah. I see people try and do this a lot in neutral to get a knockdown, because this combo's on hit, and regular run does not. See, there's a 1 frame gap, so it didn't combo. So people do EX run from a stand medium kick, because that does combo when it leads into a knockdown. People seem to like that, because they get corner carry, and then they get Oki, so then, you know, they can continue their pressure. But, yeah, there's a gap. Essentially, if this can be punished like this, you should consider it, like, just as dangerous as you rock canceling into an elbow. And like the trend, if you sort of have been able to tell, is all of this is just reducing unnecessarily inconsistency in your gameplay. So yeah, instead of doing that, do a drive rush cancel, or just don't cancel it at all. There's not really much to cancel here unless it's drive rush cancel. Kimberly is kind of bad at that. You sort of hit confirm this into our slide, but in general it's sort of just like drive rush or bust. So I would just spend the 1 extra meter instead of doing this EX run. So yeah, here's a bunch of different ways that you can remove inconsistency from your gameplay. This is also another one. This whole run special move in a command grab or kick, I would also just try and avoid doing either the kick or the command grab option, because the reward is very, very bad. You need to learn a bunch of like conditioning to do this, and honestly, rather than learning the conditioning, I would just recommend avoiding this at almost all costs. Like, if you'll see me in my game plan that I'll do like jump forward, or I'll do drive rush after, or I'll wait for them to drive rush and I'll punish their drive rush, but I'll almost never actually go for the command grab or the kick unless it's like the 4th or 5th time that I've done the move. And even then, people aren't 100% conditionable. That's one thing that I. So you need to take this at like its face value as risk reward and probably just not go for these moves for the most part. But anyways, I hope that these tips have helped, and I hope that they can improve your gameplay. If you do need more help, you can just shoot me a message in either my Discord or the Kimberly Discord. There's an advice critique channel in the Kimberly Discord, and there's a coaching channel in my own Discord. So you can go there, you can scroll up and go through all of the other people that have been reviewed. You can read those notes, or you could get your own VOD reviewed. I'm doing those for free as for now. I'm fine doing them. I think it's rather interesting to see all the different styles of Kimberly. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.